Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Up Next, a recap of the recent 2021 regular legislative session. Up Next is a webinar series supporting Iberia Parish resiliency hosted by the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce. Today's edition is designed to connect you with your legislators as they share information about what took place in Baton Rouge this past session and what we might look forward to in the near future. I'm Rob Cowan, Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce board member, insurance and risk advisor with Brown & Brown, and the moderator for this morning's virtual discussion. And we are pleased to have your virtual participation. For clarification, the purpose of the event today is to provide firsthand information to chamber members and the Iberia Parish community at large. It's not a debate. In connection with the community is a long-standing principle for McDonald's restaurants, which is why Miller Management's McDonald's locations across the parish are reopening their lobbies to provide a free space once again for local organizations to meet. The Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce is taking advantage of this opportunity by hosting Iberia Parish's legislative recap at McDonald's restaurant this morning. Thank you to Miller Management for the perfect location for our event and the opportunity for a great breakfast too.
Hi, this is Larry Miller from your local McDonald's. We're committed to helping restaurant employees further their education through our Archways program. We can help you finish high school, pick up a trade, learn English, or even an associate's or bachelor's degree. Our employees can earn up to $3,000 per year for education, and through our new partnership with SLCC, you can add $1,000 on top of that. McDonald's, education, and SLCC, I'm loving it.
At this time, I'll ask today's distinguished panel embodying our core state representation for Iberia Parish to introduce themselves, including mentioning the legislative committees on which they serve. Senator Mills was unfortunately unable to join us this morning, as well as Representative Marcus Bryant. We have Representative Blake Miguez and Representative Beaullieu this morning. Representative Blake Miguez, representing District 49. If you could introduce yourself, please.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Blake Miguez. I'm the state representative for District 49. I represent the parishes of Iberia and Vermilion. In the Louisiana House, I serve as the majority leader of the majority Republican Party in the House.
Thank you, Representative Miguez. Representative Beaullieu, if you could go next.
Thank you, Rob. And look, thank you to the Chamber for hosting this, and thank you to Millet Management and McDonald's for agreeing to have it on location. I hope they don't mind this cheesy plug I got behind here for McDonald's, but the Miller family has been great for Iberia, and I think I've paid them back with all the breakfast burritos I've eaten over the years. So I wish I was with y'all this morning. My staple is a breakfast burrito order with an extra hash brown and a large coffee. That and a tank of gas I can get anywhere in the state. So thank you to the Miller family. But again, I'm Beaullieu. I represent District 48. I'm a freshman legislator. This is just the second year that I've been in office, but I've hit the ground running, working on a lot of different key legislation. I currently serve as vice chair of the Retirement Committee. I sit on the Ways and Means Committee as well that handles the taxes and capital outlay, and also on House and Governmental Affairs, which handles redistricting. And I also have the honor of serving as vice chair of the Acadiana delegation that is basically kind of our centerpiece for all of our Acadiana reps. But thank you all for having us, and I look forward to the event.
Thank you very much. And Representative Marcus Bryant did join us. So Representative Bryant, representing District 96, if you could briefly introduce yourself and share what committees you serve on.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I represent District 96, which represents kind of me and Bo kind of mirror each other, and Mike Huval on the other side of us. We go through Iberia, through St. Martin, catch Broussard, and the backside of Lafayette. I currently sit on Ways and Means, House Criminal Justice, and Agriculture.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us and good morning. I'd like to remind our audience that contact information for elected officials representing Iberia Parish, footage of today's discussion, and additional resources can be found at iberiachamber.org/upnext. With that said, panelists, let's get started. And today's discussion is much more informal than our traditional eggs and issues post-legislative session. We have no timers, etc. We just ask that you be mindful of your colleagues regarding time. So let's begin. And we'd like for each of you to respond to the following questions from a business interest perspective. This morning's format provides you with a great deal of latitude to do so. So we appreciate that. Question one. In your opinion, what was the most important legislation passed in the recent session? And we'll start with Representative Miguez.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the question. Obviously, you know, all legislation is important that we discuss in the legislature, but there were some priorities that were set out that had bipartisan support. The first that comes to mind is the tax reform package. We have understood running for office that the biggest thing that I hear from constituents in my district are we need to create jobs. We need to make Louisiana more competitive with other states. We've seen some of our peer states like Florida, Texas, and most recently North Carolina be very successful with attracting new people and business and entrepreneurs to their state. Well, how did they do that? The answer is they were very competitive with their tax code. And they set their tax code up where you didn't need a team of lawyers and accountants to figure out all the different credits you may receive. It's very simple. And that's what we intended to do with our tax code in the recent legislative session. We went through and passed a constitutional amendment, which will be on the ballot, that starts setting up the framework for centralized tax collection, sales tax collection. That's a step in the right direction. We also address important tax reform issues like individual income tax, corporate income tax, and franchise tax. We have a mix of constitutional amendments and statutes that will address these issues. Now, to let you know, this is a step in the right direction. This is not the end all for tax reform. When we made these decisions, we decided that this was going to be a decade worth of work to get ourselves in a position where hopefully we can eliminate the personal income tax like some of these other states have, making us very competitive. In order to do that, some of the things that we did were we put a cap I believe it's going to be a cap in the Constitution that's going to say, when it's going to be offered to the voters this fall, that the income tax can't go over 4.75%. While we were doing that, we lowered all the current income tax rates. And how did we do that? We did it. It was revenue neutral. In order to get the governor's support, he said that it must be revenue neutral. So we took the federal income tax deduction and used that to buy down the rate. Now, what's very important to point out on the individual income tax is that there are triggers involved. So if there are triggers, if we collect, let's say, overall 2% more of income tax collection and the overall and the individual income tax collections in our budget stabilization fund, which is our rainy day savings account in layman's terms, is at a viable level, then those rates will automatically lower themselves. So if the legislature did nothing and our state was successful in these things, which we've told our colleagues, and we've told our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, in my particular case, the Republicans told the Democrats, please buy into this. This will be better for all of Louisianians. The proof is in the pudding. So if our economy turns around, our rates will automatically renew and eventually hopefully get to a point where the individual income tax is deleted. What's very important about the legislation is that the voting thresholds. It took 2/3 of the legislature to pass this constitutional amendment and some of these provisions that we're discussing now. But in order to lower taxes in the future, it would only take a majority vote. But to raise taxes in the future, it would take a 2/3 vote. So what I'm telling you this is it puts the legislation in the Constitution in favor of the taxpayer, in favor of you. And whenever you put things in favor of the taxpayer, I believe our economy wins and our state wins. We also did it very similar in corporate income tax, and we addressed franchise tax. As you know, with COVID-19 going on, we had exempted 85% of the filers from having to pay franchise tax. We extended that exemption, but I can say the most important thing is tax reform. In my closing comments, I'll say that tax reform is very important. because it makes us competitive with other states. But in order to be successful, we see from the other states, we also have to be fiscally responsible with how we spend our money. If we can be frugal in how we spend our dollars coming in, and we control the growth of government and try to size it with the growth of our private sector, tax reform and fiscal controls will lead to a more prosperous Louisiana. And my little girl, 6 years old, when she grows up and she's 18 years old and she goes off to college, she'll want to move back to here with that great education that she has. So hopefully she goes to school in Louisiana, and hopefully she raises a family here in Louisiana. And that's what this is about, our next generation, and making sure Louisiana is prosperous going into the future and stopping the out-migration problem that we have currently.
Thank you, Representative Miguez. We appreciate your feedback. Representative Bryant, if you could go next for us.
Let's see. Something happened. Okay. I'm not going to recap what Blake meant. He's correct about the bipartisan to do a tax reform package. Great thing about the bill tax was Beaullieu, who had bill throughout the state. I'll definitely defer to both to the listener about probably which was the most important bill brought on the ballot in our next. So with that said, I defer to both on that.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Bryant. And last, Representative Beaullieu. Appreciate your feedback.
Yeah. And I don't know, could y'all hear Marcus okay? I was hearing like every other word, every three words.
No,
Marcus, you might
had some poor sound quality there too.
Yeah, Marcus, you might want to check your. No, that's good. Marcus, just check your deal because we couldn't hear you clearly.
Okay,
but no,
I may have to get closer.
Okay, maybe that was it. But look, so Blake did an awesome recap of basically what we all agree. I think the entire legislature agrees is the most important thing that we did this session. That was tax reform. Remember, we can only deal with fiscal issues every other year. So we won't be able to, if we didn't tackle it this year, we had 2 years before we could do it. And when we ran for office, improving our climate, our business climate in Louisiana was a lot of our number one reasons for running. I know it was mine. And right now in the country, Louisiana ranks 42nd with its overall business climate. Being in the top 10 is not a good thing when businesses are looking to relocate to your state. And it's also not a good thing for those businesses that are in the state because it means we have a disadvantage compared to other states with operating. On our sales tax collection system, we rank 49th in the country. That's just not acceptable. We're one of only 3 states that have a decentralized sales tax collection system. By passing the streamlined sales tax constitutional amendment, which the voters will have to vote on this fall, we would conform to the rest of the country, which is very, very important. Currently, a business that operates in all 64 parishes has 54 sales tax returns that they have to compete on a monthly and quarterly basis. If they win another state, they would have 1. So this is just a huge disadvantage. And I think the streamlined sales tax was something they've been trying to do for decades. But again, also to Blake's point on the personal taxes and the corporate taxes, this is moving the ship in the right direction. For any of you Navy people out there to get a carrier to change course 180 degrees, it takes a long time to move that ship. And basically these constitutional amendments are allowing us to slowly move that ship in the right direction, but it's going to put the state in the proper posture moving forward for us to be really aggressive on the things we want to do. But the first step is voting on those 2 constitutional amendments that are going to be on the fall's ballot. But yeah, overwhelmingly, the tax reform package was the most important thing that we saw this year.
Very good. Thank you, Representative Beaullieu. And now the second question is kind of the flip side of the first one. In each of your opinions, what was the most important legislation not passed in the recent session. And we'll begin with Representative Bryant.
What was the most important bill that didn't make it through? Well, for a local, me and Beaullieu carried a bill, education bill, 100% credit on the education act that utilized. That's part of that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Representative Bryant. It's kind of fading in and out. I just want to make sure everyone can hear you well.
Yeah, right now. Is this better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. For me, I would probably say locally, it would be our education bill that we tried to pass. 100% credit for for businesses that were getting given to a program that allowed unfortunate kids to go to private school in Iberia Parish. It didn't make it through. We got it through the Senate. Did it die in Senate committee, Bo, or did it die on the Senate floor?
It died on the Senate floor.
On the Senate floor. That would have been a bill that would have given business owners 100% credit on their taxes, state taxes, and allowed them to invest more into a program that is heavily utilized in Iberia Parish, where kids are able to go to St. Edwards and Catholic High that can't afford to and take advantage of this program and get 100% of their tuition paid. So that's a bill that comes to mind for me.
Thank you, Representative Bryant. We appreciate that. Representative Beaullieu, if you could go next.
Yeah, look, I think the most important bill that didn't make it all the way through the process was actually one of Representative Miguez's bills. And that was the bill that allows outside money to come into elections. It got caught up in a partisan fight, but I really saw the bill as a nonpartisan issue. Where and Blake can talk about it further, but to allow outside money to come in and benefit one side of the aisle or the other by getting directly into our election system, into our register of voters and clerks of court. I just thought it was a bad idea. And unfortunately, I got caught in a partisan mess, but I really saw it as a bipartisan bill. And I believe in the future, once some heads kind of cool down, everybody's going to see it as bipartisan, and at some point it's going to be passed. And I really do believe it's needed. So that, to me, was one of the biggest. We got to have faith in our election system, and regardless of the side of the aisle you're on, you want to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Louisiana has had a history of running. Well, this is going to sound kind of funny that I'm saying this because we've talked about some of the crazy stuff that's happened in Louisiana, but as of late, our elections in Louisiana have been run very smoothly with a lot of integrity, and we want to keep it that way. And I think that bill would keep it moving in the right direction.
Good. Thank you, Representative Beaullieu. And lastly, Representative Miguez, if you could provide some input.
Well, Rob, I'll take your question in the fact that what legislation didn't actually become law. I thought that the legislature did a very good job, both sides of the aisle. We passed a lot of legislation in a short period of time that addressed a lot of issues: infrastructure, COVID response, education. We passed bills that dealt with social issues, tax reform. The list goes on and on. My biggest disappointment was the executive branch's approach when the governor vetoed nearly 30 bills. Many of those were very important bills to myself and to the members. A few that come to mind, I can't say any particular most important one. Bo mentioned one. I appreciate him mentioning my bill that stops out-of-state billionaires, in particular Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, keeping Zuckerbucks out of our election system. And what I mean by that, by actually paying for our local election process. Any kind of money that wants to come in to pay for our election system, we as the state and its elected officials would be happy to accept that money, but we want to make sure it's appropriated through the legislature in a very equitable fashion, where every parish, Iberia in particular, gets just as much its fair share as Orleans Parish would get, or a rural parish gets as much as an urban area. We want to make sure that there's no undue influence, any bias, and we don't put these local elected officials in a compromising position to pick between whether they run a fair election process or they receive grant money. We as the legislature, we have to take on those tough battles, and we're willing to do so. So I think if anyone wants to give those dollars, give them to the state general fund, and we'll have a debate with the members on this call and spend it in the most appropriate manner to have the safest election system. Three other bills, and it's hard to pick one, Rob. I'm going to give you three other examples.
Sure.
Another one was the drug court bill. It had unanimous support through the legislature, 21 co-authors in the Senate. It was vetoed by the governor. It was going to take the opioid settlement money and basically pay for our drug court system, our specialty courts. If you talk to any local district judge, you talk to Supreme Court justices, they'll tell you how effective these programs are. Only 2/3 of the districts across Louisiana currently have drug courts. This opioid settlement money would have created a fund where the other third would also have these drug courts paid for, which would provide that service to some of these rural communities across Louisiana. For the other 2/3, the benefit would be that these drug courts would be paid for the next 10 to 15 years. Disappointed it didn't get signed into law by the governor. I think with some political reasons that it didn't, unfortunately. But the good news is that we still have 2 years to readdress this issue, and hopefully the political environment is different and the governor will sign that into law. Two other bills that are very important, and I think it's understood by the public outcry: women's fairness in sports and constitutional carry. I believe strongly that we need to protect women's fairness in sports and make sure that women are playing on a level playing field, and any male's beliefs about their biology doesn't change their physical advantage that they have over our young females. And I want to make sure that our young ladies have all the opportunities, the career opportunities, the scholarship opportunities, the athletic opportunities. And we as a legislature need to do what we can to protect women's fairness in sports. Another bill received overwhelming majority in both the House and the Senate, was vetoed by the governor, and it went into a historic veto override session and failed just shy of a few votes. Constitutional carry, the Second Amendment, is very important to me. As you know, I'm a world champion and national champion shooter. I've been on national TV on a reality show that dealt with firearms. I've been shooting guns my entire life. I understand that the Second Amendment is our right to defend ourselves and our loved ones, and it's more than my competitive shooting or hunting. It's our right to defend ourselves. Constitutional carry was passed in Louisiana as a 22nd state, would have given citizens, and I'm making particular law-abiding citizens only, the right to conceal carry a firearm, just as you can in current law with open carry, to protect themselves and their loved ones without needing to have government permission. These were bills, many of these bills, including also election integrity bills, were just passed recently in Texas and signed into law. And I'll go back to my original opening when I said that we need to be more competitive with our peer states. In particular, we need to be more competitive with Texas and Florida. And Texas and Florida are passing these types of fiscal policies, but they're also passing these types of social policies. And that's the reason why Florida gets 750,000 new citizens per year. And Texas gets roughly 250,000 new citizens per year. And Louisiana is in a static position. And you are all business owners. You know, if your business is not growing, it's shrinking. And Louisiana is currently shrinking. We're losing our most talented young individuals to other states. Those individuals are our daughters and our granddaughters. And if we do anything, regardless of the issues, it's important that we all work together to make Louisiana more prosperous. I mentioned my 6-year-old daughter earlier. When she's old enough and she grows up and raises a family, my goal and to judge my success is I want to make sure that all our children and grandchildren live close enough that they can come home and eat mama's cooking on the weekend. That hasn't been the case over the last decade. It's our duty in the legislature to make sure that we can make Louisiana prosperous. And if the legislature, who's the voice of the people, speaks and speaks in an overwhelming voice, in some of these cases a unanimous voice, I plead to the governor that he respects the voice of the people and considers signing some of this legislation into law in the future, because it is the true will of the people.
Thank you so much. And we do have one last question, and any one of the panelists can comment. It's regarding House Bill 2. We're all grateful for the $38 million that will potentially be funded through capital outlay and direct appropriations from the state general fund for the Acadiana Gulf of Mexico Access Channel, the AgMac project. And thank you for your work towards bringing these dollars to Iberia Parish. Now, with that said, there were 2 requests for Iberia Parish funding, $450,000 for Labie Road work and $11.9 million for Iberia Parish Hospital District 1 that were among the governor's line item budget vetoes. So the question is, what do you think the near future holds for Iberia Parish and capital outlay projects? And anyone on the panel can respond.
Yeah, I'll take it, guys. And Marcus, unless you want it. Marcus and I both sit on Ways and Means. But I'll go ahead and stab at it. We've done, Iberia Parish has done very, very well over the last couple of years in capital outlay. The $38 million this year, I think we might have got $25 million, $27 million last year. So to have that amount of money being plugged into our local economy is big. And I think it's a credit. Y'all need to remember, the chairman of Ways and Means is originally from Generate, and so is the chairman of Revenue and Fiscal on the Senate side, Stuart Bishop and Brett Allen. So that's where these capital outlay bills, where they start and what the projects get put into the bills. It used to be all the controls in the Orleans and Jefferson area, but right now Acadiana sitting in a lot of tight leadership positions, and it's allowed us to be able to move some of those dollars back to this part of the state, which is really needed. And I think we're going to continue to see some big projects and great dollars coming to the area. But again, that can change. That can change with a single line item veto, like you saw. I've reached out to try and find out the reason for those line item vetoes on those two projects in particular. I haven't gotten a response yet, but I'm hoping to find out. I know that $450,000 Lobby Road project was important to Iberia because it connected to the St. Martin Economic Development on that side of the parish in Coteau. And the hospital has a big expansion project that it's trying to do on the North Campus. And that little bit of dollars that we were trying to do is going to help with some of the planning. Again, I haven't gotten a real answer on why that was vetoed either. But look, we have a very powerful governor. The governor of Louisiana is considered, one of the most powerful governors of all the states. And he can line out and veto things as he sees fit. We can always go into another special session and try and override him. But that's the power of his pen. So hopefully we'll continue to benefit Iberia.
Thank you, Bo. I just would like to ask if any of the panelists would like to make a brief closing remark before we wrap up today's session. So give you that opportunity.
Marcus, you want to lead us off?
Yep. Well, okay. Thank you. I think we had an awesome session. We have a lot of things I'm grateful about. We're finally in the came back again, $30. At 20 recovery our area that's going to allow for our locals to get paid, projects to get finished, the city and pack. So it's fun being a Blake. You always understand about working hard and trying to bring it back to the area, Indiana. Be good when we get to do this. Actually bring them back home. So that's about 60 million that we have money in Iberia. So that's a great feeling going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bryant. And who would like to go next?
Blake, go ahead. I'll go last.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for having us on this call. We always enjoy talking to the chamber and all of Iberia businesses. We particularly love when you guys come to the Capitol. I know with the COVID situation has been more difficult recently, but we always enjoy seeing visitors at the Capitol. So please, in the future, continue to make those trips, whether it's leadership Iberia or it's the chamber. Y'all come up and see us. It's a great thing. I want to say that I'm proud of my delegation. I'm proud of the two representatives on the phone call, as well as my senator. I can tell you, in the legislature, we're a very diverse group of people. We have very diverse philosophical beliefs. The members on this call have different beliefs about politics. But I can tell you one thing that's true. We all believe in Iberia Parish. We all work to the benefit of Iberia Parish. And at the end of the day, that's how we're successful. In Baton Rouge, it's all about numbers. And we can debate social issues. We can debate other fiscal issues. But when it comes to Iberia Parish, there is no debate. And I can tell you from the two representatives on this line, they don't see district lines. We see Iberia Parish. I know many times we advocate for money that goes to Representative Bryant's district, my district, or Representative Beaulieu's district. It doesn't matter. What matters most is what do our locals think and what do our locals prioritize on projects? What will move Iberia Parish forward and what's best for our citizens here? Doesn't matter what district it's in. Doesn't matter who's the governor. Doesn't matter if Republicans or Democrats are in control. All that matters is Iberia Parish. And I'm very thankful to serve with this group. Everyone brings something to the table. And we talked about capital outlay earlier and some of the projects that were vetoed. I wouldn't focus on what was vetoed. I'd focus on what we got. We got a ton of money. We got more money than we've seen in the past. It's because these members on the phone call, as well as Senator Mills, work together. Our port, we've got a great director there, Craig Romero, doing an excellent job. We're going to continue to send him money, make that port successful. In Marcus's district, we have the airport that's very successful. We have a lot of economic opportunity there. Representative Beaulieu represents the main parts of the city in the Lowerville area. Tremendous opportunities there. We can make Iberia Parish excellent going forward in the future, and it's because we're working together. But not only do we work together as a group of legislators, we have to work together as a community, and our business community needs to be there supporting us and let us know what's important to you. And I'll leave you with this. Know that we're your representatives. We're your voice in Baton Rouge. If you need something, please call. There's so many means to get a hold of us now. Pick up the phone, give us a shout. If you have our cell phone number, call our office, send us an email, send us a Facebook. I guess there's other social media. You can send Marcus an Instagram message, but get a hold of us. Let us know what you're thinking. Because I can tell you, we may be busy during session. We may not have the opportunity to respond immediately, but we're reading all of your messages and we're figuring out exactly where we need to be to move this parish forward. And it's an honor to serve. I've been serving for 6 years. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm grateful. I will continue to be your voice and be the voice of the people of Iberia Parish as well as Louisiana. And we're going to work together and we're going to fight hard to move this state forward. And just thank you so much for the opportunity. And Rob, again, thank you for having me on this call. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your participation, Representative Miguez and Representative Beaulieu.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. First of all, just tell everybody, keep your chin up. I think there's good things for Iberia. I think there's good things ahead for Louisiana. I know sometimes you can't tell that when reading the newspapers or on social media, but we have some good things happening. You know, these constitutional amendments on the fall or the start. This is enormous for Louisiana, these two constitutional amendments. So we need everybody out there to vote. If you need me to go to your business and talk to your employees, if you need any of us to come out, I'll go and sell them to your workforce. There's no place we won't travel to sell amendments. So we need to really make sure we push that. And look, I pinch myself sometimes when I'm driving up to the Capitol. I'm humbled to be able to serve the people of Acadiana and Iberia in particular. It's an awesome experience. We do listen when you email, when you call. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. You know, we love y'all. We thank you for showing the support of us. And look, thank you, Rob. Thank you to Chamber. Thank you to McDonald's and New Iberia and the Miller Management. This is a great way to get out with folks. But if y'all need anything from me, just reach out. But thank y'all.
Thank you. And in closing, just a reminder that the Chamber ribbon cuttings are being held in person through Facebook, in person and through Facebook Live. These events are great ways to continue your business networking. And actually, our next ribbon cutting is Friday, August 20th at 10:30 a.m. in New Iberia at Clark Integrated Medical Clinics located on East Main Street. And remember to mark your calendars for the 2021 New Iberia City Marshal Forum, which will be held virtually on September 7th at 6 p.m. And lastly, also remember the World Championship Gumbo Cook-Off is coming up very fast, October 9th and 10th. I know we're all excited to have that taking place once again. And this year's event has some new programming, so be sure to watch the event Facebook for all the details and any updates. And any information, a reminder, any information on all upcoming events can be found at iberiachamber.org. And again, we'd like to recognize the legislators who took the time to be with us this morning. We appreciate you participating virtually, and sorry for any audio difficulties we may have had, but we greatly appreciate your flexibility and also you speaking directly to the concerns of Iberia Parish from a state perspective. We appreciate that. And finally, thanks to our sponsoring business, Miller Management and McDonald's, for hosting us this morning. It's been hard for me not to partake in all this food right in front of me, but I guess we'll do that when we end the call. But and if you're interested in hosting an event, town hall, or meeting at your local McDonald's, please contact Anthony Taylor at the McDonald's local New Iberia office. Phone number is 337-321-6857, and that's located at 521 Jefferson Terrace Boulevard. And lastly, again, I'm Rob Cowan for the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce, and thanks for joining us, and make it a great day.